Okay, let's do those extra strands now. So we'll focus on one side just as we've been doing. We'll draw size down to 20. We might even want to go a little bit smaller today. But let's go back to our actual head mesh subtool here. So actually not the original one we've got there. We'll keep that there though. But we'll just work on the clone at the moment, which has got no subdivision levels, and essentially we're just going to try and draw some hair strands now that kind of bridge the gaps a little bit here, but we can afford to go smaller. So it's at size 20 at the moment. Let's go for 15, slightly smaller, and see what we get. So let's draw a strand purposely dividing or sitting in the middle of this, and you can see that it does seem to want to sit there, which is a bit annoying. Let's see what we can do about that. Okay, so it is sort of adhering to the head, but not so well. Am I using the right one? I'm not using the right one. See? I knew there was something up. Curve, flat, snap. Okay, so let's try again. Much better. Okay, so get that in the right spot, and you can see that that's just going to sit over that hair there. So the expectation for these strands is that they should make their way to the ponytail area, but if they don't, it doesn't matter, okay? So that's the idea here. These strands are kind of free to just sort of do whatever they want. It's a bit of a strange way of explaining it. I'm just trying to stop this guy from twisting, but unfortunately there's no way to do it. We'll just have to draw it again. But essentially we're just going to create some finer hair layers now. Okay, just to kind of bridge the gaps in between some of the thicker, bigger hair strands that we have already. Okay, but we do want these to be on top of the rest. So if they start to sink, you need to pull them back up and over. Okay, so we're going to have these fall generally in the direction of the ponytail, but the expectation is not all strands have to make, you know, their ends sit at the ponytail end. So if I bring this strand up and over now, you should see that it's a bit of a smoother hair strand, and it tends to cover the lower poly hair strands, and it's this hair now that will slightly start to build in layers. We'll start to raise them up slightly. Okay, so do just something like that, but at the moment it's a bit too early to do such a thing, so we'll keep this a little bit lower for now, but we will start to raise them up and over a bit. But over here, same rule, we're going to generally favor these strands to sit over the ones we've created, and if they start to get a bit floaty like this, don't worry about it. Let's just create the strands for now. Okay. But the nice thing about this part of the hair creation tool methods is we can change the size, and we can also do some interesting different shapes. Okay, so once we built up a foundational layer, we can start to build up some interesting shapes. So what I mean by that is we don't always have to keep going down this path. We can start from the same route, but maybe go across like this, so it's actually going across a different strand altogether. Okay, so it's not following the same route as all the other hair. We can get a bit more adventurous with this this level of hair right now. Okay, so I like that look. Oops, there we go. I like that one, so I'm going to keep it as is, and I'm just going to use the move brush to just bring it in line with the rest of the hair a bit more. So you can see that it's naturally starting to create more volume at the back. Just raise it up slightly there, intersecting a little bit here, so we'll pull him out like that. Okay, again, just do your best to just a quick once over and check for potential clipping. Try to minimize the clipping, but at the same time it's inevitable, so don't lose too much sleep. But that's the demonstration there. Okay, so let's do a few strands now. I've shown you what the idea is, so let's do a few strands. Let's start with one at the top here. So one at the very center here, this can actually just stop by the ear and just kind of finish. So let's do one here, and we'll just do one just past the ear, and we'll stop it just past the ear. So this is an example of a hair strand that does not make it towards the ponytail end. It just kind of stops after the ear, and we can even flick it out a little bit like that to be a bit of a stray hair like that. Okay, again, because that's the part we're at now. We're creating hair mesh like this that's it's just going to be a bit roguish. Okay, it's going to kind of do what it wants to do. Doesn't matter if it clips too much like that. It does matter, however, if it clips the ear, so just do be aware of that a little bit. We don't want it clipping any solid head mesh parts. That's not good look. Okay, just put that over there. Okay, let's go back. I said we'd create several strands, didn't I? I didn't. Okay, let's do one more. This one I'm going to have come here and stop there in front of your ear. Have that sit atop the rest of its friends. Kind of fill that gap out there. That looks good to me. I'll leave it for now. Let's do one that sits over here. I'm going to extend this one a bit more. Okay. So where's that one? There it is. So this is the fun part now. We just get to sort of play with these hair strands and just shape them as we like. Okay, so move brush. And depending upon how much control you want, you might want to do a few strands, tweak them, or you might want to do strand by strand and tweak them. Okay, you'll see I'll kind of jump between both. So the main focus for volume should be around this quadrant of the heads, around this sector here, not anywhere in the middle, not too much over here, because again with a ponytail, the only freedom the hair has to kind of bulge is around here, because it's getting pulled, because here in the center is the roots and down here is the ponytail. So just bear in mind that particular fact there. So you see that I'm trying to just gradually introduce some of that effect there. But I see I'm fighting another part here. So let's go polygroup. And I can see that there is a mesh here, this orange plane that's getting in my way. So I'm just going to tell him to move out the way very politely. And then this purple one I drew here, I haven't quite finished that yet. I didn't tweak that one. So let's tweak it. Okay. And we'll push that in there, and I'll pull him out there like that. Okay, and just with this one as well, a nice little trick here, just always favor one edge like that. Just, oops, not the head mesh, just so it's a bit easier when you start to create hair cards. Okay, something like that. You can see it, Mr. Green here is in the way. Get out the way, Green. There you go. Where's purple gone? There's purple. Purple. Stay your territory. There you go. Again, clipping is inevitable, unfortunately, so don't worry too much if you see a lot of clipping in your hair mesh. Sorry, it will happen. Sad to say. Okay, so what else can we do? Well, we just got to keep covering these up. So let's go a bit ham. Let's keep going. There's one that can sit here, and I reckon that could probably just trickle down there. We can do our first kind of Lara part, which actually is a bit more like this, but towards the back, down the back of a neck. I think I've got an example of that. Where is it? Here, for example. See, we've got one strand, and it just kind of wisps around the back of a neck. Well, that's what this strand's going to be. Have a look. Whee! How about that? Okay, so it's a lot of fun, this section here. Just have a bit of fun with this. It's a good part of the course. It's just creating hair, which is nice because often creating hair can be stressful, but doing it this way, at least there's a bit of fun involved before the stress kicks in and we have to unwrap all this and go, oh no, I've lost a small part of my soul unwrapping all of this. But it's all worth it. Trust me, guys, it's all worth it. In the end, you'll get a wonderful result. It's just a bit of a mountain climb before we get any returns on these investments we're making now. But so I'm just going to push in the front-facing edge a bit more, only because it's a bit more natural to see it this way. If the hair tends to fan out towards the edge, towards the back edge, it just gives any other planes that we may draw later on a bit of room to sit alongside this one we've drawn here. Okay, so just pull it out a bit more. So if we draw any more that sit behind, they've now got room, and that will make it look a bit nicer. Okay, and we could really get aggressive here and really tuck that behind her ear, especially if you want to draw more hair strands later, sitting behind that area. But there's an example there. Okay, In fact, speaking of more hair strands that go that way, let's do another one. Let's do a size 12. Let's mix it up a little bit. And I'm going to start somewhere completely different. I'm going to start all the way up here and just going to do one like that. Okay. That looks good. Oops. Alt click to accept. Move brush. Up you come. On up you come. There you go. There you go. So it's getting a little bump here just because it's detected this strand sticking out, but we can just sort of flatten it out with the move brush. A bit of gentle rocking backwards and forwards. We'll sort that hair strand out, no problemo. Katie, please, I need some more room, thank you. So when your references start getting in the way, it's just like, why am I working around my reference? I can just move it. Should have just moved it. So I did. I moved it. Okay, so I think this hair strand here, I kind of want these to be sticking to her neck at the moment. You know, either maybe from like, I don't know, sweat or something like that. But these strands, I'll leave it kind of following the curvature of her neck mostly. They can kind of flick out the end if they want, but mostly kind of just sticking to her neck at the moment. And then I might do some others later on that sort of flick out afterwards. Okay. So generally speaking, what I'm doing now is what I like to call A hair strands. We've done the base hair strands underneath. We're doing A hair, and then we'll do B hair. B are very fine, and they kind of go all over the place. And they're the loose strands you see, like at the back here in the reference. But right now we're just kind of doing the main layer of hair. Speaking of main layer, let's go back to a bigger size, like 15, and we'll start to just carry on with the pattern now. So the only real part here that matters is the origin point. Make sure you're happy with the point of origin there. And then everything else can kind of just fall into place. There we go. Alt click. So you can see that I like a bit of control over my strands, so I'm doing it strand by strand. Just because, again, I favor more control. I want a very deliberate look. I very much want to control how each strand looks. So I'm sorry guys, I'm going to go a bit of the slower method and just kind of do it strand by strand, draw it out and then tweak it. But of course you guys at home there following along, feel free to do it strand, a few strands and then edit it up. That's fine. Okay, this one looks a bit polygonal there. There we go. This one looks a bit not following the curvature. There we go. Okay, so if you look at the side, the differences now, it looks very much the same, but what we've got here is we've got a lot building up over here. So it's a lot more volume here. Okay, that's basically what we want. That's essentially what we're looking for. All right. The one thing I will do before we get too far ahead of ourselves is it's a good idea now, just for a bit of housekeeping, to separate the base layers from the A hair layers, right? So what do I mean by that? Essentially, the base, I should have done this before, I apologize for not saying sooner, but if we select all the B hair strands now, and let's just sort of spend some time masking off the B hair strands. So, sorry, not the B hair, the base hair strands. So we'll just mask them up now. Okay, and it might be a bit tricky to see. Okay, and I believe yellow was one, and green was one. Yes, there we go. And blue was one. There we go. So you see, it starts to get a bit tricky already. This purple one is definitely one. This red one is oops. Is that masked already? It was masked already. Okay, so if we kind of group the masked now. So if we go to polygroups, group masked. Let's have a look. Did we catch all? So we're missing one here in the middle. So that's underneath all that. So let's have a look. Sorry about this, guys. I should have mentioned this in the beginning. That is on me. Is this one? Nope. Pink one. Pink's definitely one. That's definitely one of them. So let's add him to the family. We'll mask him. Hey, he's turned pink. Excellent. So, okay. So basically, we're obviously missing 2. Looks like I caught an A hair strand by accident. But essentially, let's free this guy up. He does not belong to this group. Where did he go? You. Hey. Oh, I just realized I probably can't free him now. Never mind, that's okay. So basically try and keep them separate, just so that you can just figure out which strand's which and you're not moving a separate layer. So basically, the reason why we're grouping that up is if we want to just change the A hair cards, we can just mask off the base layer. So, sorry. Mask off the base, and then we could just use the move tool just to adjust the A hair cards that we've done there. Okay. So I should have mentioned that before. I apologize that I didn't. That was an oversight from me. Just a bit of housekeeping. As you know, when it comes to housekeeping stuff, I just tend to forget about it, like not naming layers in Photoshop. Okay, so hopefully you got the idea. Carry on creating more A hair strands here. Keep going down and basically just follow just the same pattern. I'll continue with this in the next video, but obviously feel free to do some yourself in between the videos.